Matoke. Let's keep on Matoke.
How you do it? Stop calling people Matoke. You're calling people banana.
Hey, what's up?
What up?
Ukranto.
What up, man?
Yeah.
Sharp. That's how you start all your podcasts. Because you're a serial podcaster.
I am.
If you're not sure if Black's on a podcast, he goes, hey, yo, what's up?
What?
Yes.
If you're not sure.
If Black is on a podcast.
I don't know.
If you listen to a podcast and you're like, is Black on this? See, now you made me overthink it and now I've lost
It's
my
the English.
deep
I was
point.
confused.
Like,
So what's your deep point?
That's your sign that Black is on a podcast. When you hear, hey, yo, what's up?
Yeah, what's up? All right, so...
Wait, I didn't sing my song.
Okay.
On the couch with the newborns.
Okay, that's different.
Yeah, see, I'm trying to keep things spicy.
All right. Let's do a Mpakanga version tomorrow.
Oh my gosh. And I don't know how to do that.
Yeah,
I don't know. In my head, it was like, get in. And then I was like, trying to sing.
You just went to Motherland Crank.
I did.
Wow. Wow.
I did. What's with the attitude?
Expose your
anyway,
age.
it's fine. It's fine.
Somebody's wondering, what's Motherland Crank? You are 2000.
Yeah. You should enjoy your youth.
You should love. Go finish your matric exams, okay?
You're not at the stage where you're like, my back hurts every day.
Yes.
Someone wrote on Twitter, he was like, to everyone over 30, how's your back? It's like,
it's late,
yeah.
You need better beds.
Anyway.
Andre 3 Stacks dropped a new album.
Andre 3000.
Yeah. What is it? The new Blue Sun, I think.
I actually don't know what it's called
I think
in this
it's called
moment.
the new Blue Sun, yeah.
But I will listen to it because I'm into that stuff now.
Like wind stuff.
Yeah, like that instrumental, you know.
It's dope. It is dope.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, the songs are long. It's dope.
But that's how those songs are.
No, that's fire. That's fire. I'm just saying, like...
I'm surprised you listen to it.
Why?
Because you don't listen to that stuff. Outside of the fact that Andre 3000 like recorded that kind of genre, I've never heard you listen to that genre of music.
Okay, yeah, maybe that's the thing, yeah.
But I can understand you listening to it because it's Andre 3000.
No, I didn't listen to it because it's 3 Stacks, but I was curious to hear what he's gonna do with that.
Okay.
Because I've heard obviously what other people have done, and obviously because if you're a fan of him, you've been trying to find out what he's been doing because he actually did some playing for other artists, but under a pseudonym. So
I think I did read that once.
Yeah.
Do you know I met Andre 3000?
Where? In the airport?
I forgot that. I just remembered that now. He was so cool. I never this is not me flexing that I met Andre 3000 because I can't.
Well,
no. Hear me out because I'm scared to go up to celebrities. Like
no, I'm saying the flex would be, and even putting it like that is like we went to meet him and you just bumped into him. I'm saying the flex would be, because you're saying now you're not flexing, but I'm saying yes, you're not. So maybe let's just say you were at the airport, you bumped into him.
Yeah, I said I met him.
You didn't go to meet him somewhere.
Oh no! Oh wow!
Yes.
No, that would be a flex. No, I see what you're saying. No, I was at an airport.
Yes.
Somewhere in the States, and I was like, "That's Andre 3000." I think I saw him get on the plane.
Yeah.
Then when we disembarked,
you were like, "Yo,
I was
3
like,
Stacks.
I'm gonna go." I don't know where I got the confidence from because I'm scared of celebrities.
It's
like
Andre,
it's weird. But I was just like, and he was so nice.
Yeah.
I look crusty as heck. But like we took a picture, he was just really nice. Like I was like, that was really cool.
He seems like a dope human, man.
Yeah,
and
he does.
Some of the stuff that he's been saying on interviews now. I actually forgot that he's an only child. Anyway,
I did not know that. Okay.
We bringing 3 Stacks up because our song of the day is Miss Jackson.
Of course.
From Outcast.
Outcast.
Funny
Outcast.
Like sure, say American. Outcast.
No shame.
Outcast. So Miss Jackson, I butchered that song proper, and it's not my fault. It's the guys on the hood.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did you butcher it?
It was bad, bro.
Okay.
Sorry, Miss Jackson. I am for real. Never meant to make it out to cry. I apologize for criticizing.
Are you apologize for what?
Bro, listen, English was not our friend, bro.
You apologize for what?
For criticizing, bro.
I apologize for criticizing.
I was like, I remember the first time I heard one of these, and I'm not going to call him by name, but he said that, and I was like, I don't think that sounds right, but like...
It's hard work compared to what he's actually saying.
I know, but the thing is, like, these dudes were like break dancers.
Yes.
These dudes I heard the song from. They were break dancers. They were like starting out to rap. It was like, this was probably...
How old were we?
Yes, bro. This was... It could have been like the late 90s.
No. Wasn't it like early 2000s? Like 2001, 2? Like grade 5, grade 6, somewhere there.
Probably.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah.
But like, and this was like the first group of guys in my hood who started rapping as well, you know?
Were they your age?
Nah, they're older.
Okay.
So then I was like, sure, dog. It sounds whack, but like, they're right. These dudes are right. So I'm going to sing the song like that, dog. And I just sang the song like that until I got older.
Jackson, what never meant to make your daughter cry. I apologize for criticizing. I apologize a trillion times, or is it a billion times, or a million?
Yes.
But one of those. But I'm like, that's easier than I apologize for criticizing.
And here's the thing is, then I'm trying to justify it in my head because I'm like,
I know where you're going.
Like, this guy's really sorry, bro, you know? And then, obviously, I'm a kid, and then I'm thinking he's apologizing to Miss Jackson, the mom of this girl that he's trying to get with, whatever, you know. So then he probably criticized the mom for like commenting on their relationship.
I thought that he's apologizing to the mom for criticizing the girl.
The girl, no. And he was rude, you know. So he's like, I'm sorry for criticizing you for speaking into our relationship.
That is so much work.
Anyway,
I
am sorry, Miss Jackson, for butchering this up.
Sorry to Outcast.
Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah.
It actually reminds me of when I'm like, it's a lot of work. I don't know why I remember this now, but it was grade 7. And
Outcast?
Eminems Stan came out.
Yeah.
And one of the guys he knew all the words. And it's that part where he goes, I hope you can sleep and you can dream when you dream about me. That way he's like, just, yelling. And then there's a part where Eminem goes, I think, I hope your conscience eats you, something.
Yeah.
And the guy was rapping, was like, I hope your conscience eats you. And I was like, huh?
Conscience. Wow. At least he read it the way it's written, though.
He did. But I was like, that is so much work. Because if you just listen, like, your conscience. And I was like,
how does that even flow, bro?
You can see. I know, guys. I was like,
come on now. It's all these C words, bro.
No.
Criticizing. Conscience. Yeah.
And in my head, I'm like, did he read the lyric or hear the lyric?
Wow. And he probably
back
heard
then,
it,
we didn't have the Google.
He probably heard it, though.
We didn't have the internet to Google lyrics before hearing them. So I'm like, but Eminem says, I don't know, man. Maybe his mind is just brilliant.
Maybe it's one of those dodgy teachers at your school who was calling evanescence.
Evanescence.
And then...
About determined.
About dirty mind. Determined. My geography teacher used to say, what is the thing he used to say? Abandon.
Wow. But let me it does give you the weightiness of the word. Like, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
Abandon feels like you stacking stuff. Like, it feels like a word that means go stack bricks. Go abandon the bricks. Like, abandon
like
on
dome,
each other.
Like build, like, you know.
I'm like,
that's a lot of work. We need to abandon this evanescence, determining.
In your conscience.
In our conscience.
Come on now. My conscience is eating me. This might be a very conscience episode and topic we're going to chat about.
Conscience.
Very conscience.
Controversy.
Controversy. Conscious.
No.
Right?
I hate it when people go like, what I'm about to say is so controversial. I'm like, shut up. Like, don't do that.
Yeah.
Just say what you need to say and go.
Yeah, please.
It's like when they say, I'm going to be really vulnerable right now.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. Well done, bro.
Well
Awkward. Done for being the captain of vulnerability.
I'm going to be vulnerable.
I'm going to be vulnerable right now. Well done. Cool. Corporate rollout.
Anyway.
Mr. Vulnerability himself.
As we do exactly that.
Yeah. Let's be conscientiously vulnerable.
Controversial.
And let's not abandon each other at any point in this episode, right? I think, Lillian.
Lillian.
I told you, if you're on the couch, you can.
Yeah, but somebody messaged me and called me Lillian. And I was like, anyway.
You must, okay.
Anyway, I like her, so I allowed it. But anyone else who does that, you will be dealt with in the only way I can on the internet, which is block. I won't block you. I don't do that.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
So I was saying, I was thinking about this, and we were having a very tumultuous time in our marriage.
Okay.
It was a week, man. We're not on one page.
Okay.
And I was like,
we need to do a podcast on that week.
Yo.
When we're ready, when we're fully healed.
Yeah.
It's
that
fine.
One is deep.
Yeah.
But and I was on status, WhatsApp status. Then I saw somebody's status, and I'm paraphrasing the thing, but the status said, women have been trained to know what to get from men, but they haven't been trained on how to treat men.
Okay.
And it was a woman who posted it. So
women, say that, run that by me again. I'm
paraphrasing.
But
women trained or coached or raised to know what to get from men, as opposed to know how to treat men, right? Okay. Anyway, so then, and we were, I'm sure not good. I was like, yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
You were feeling vindicated and justified.
Yes. But and I don't know what they meant by that status, but then I obviously pondered on the thing and started thinking deeply about it for myself. And then I was like, hey man, I think there is some truth in that. Right? I think everything else, and here's the thing. Let me put this and be very categorically clear. I'm not talking about the douchebag here, right? I'm not talking about the dude who verbally abuses women, And yes, we can empathize with him. There might be stuff that he's traumatized on. That's not the conversation I'm having. I'm talking about the dude who, quote unquote, a good guy. Is trying to do things right. Is trying to show up, etc., etc., etc. Right?
That's a tough line to draw. And I say that because I think for most women, they've engaged with the douchebag.
That's fine.
And that's where they're drawing their information. So it's almost like, okay, yeah, I just don't know. Even for me, like as you're giving that statement of what this lady said, I'm thinking of all my examples of what I've seen, and I'm like,
that's fine. And I'm getting somewhere with that. I was actually going to mention that.
Okay.
So I'm saying that. So take me, right? Like, I'm not here sitting next to you, and I'm hoping, I don't think you would say I'm a douchebag, whatever, right? Decent dude, trying to do life, trying to be good to you, etc., right? So I'm saying social media now, obviously, and before social media, when we were growing up, so it's either songs, movies, church, home, etc., right? And we've spoken about this several times on this very couch, Most of what I'm about to say now has been from reaction, right? So then we are taught growing up, here's how you treat a woman, right? Why? Because we've seen how douchebags have treated women. So don't do that, right? If you want to be nice to your wife, buy her flowers, buy her chocolate, buy her whatever, right?
Okay.
If you've stuffed up, just be there, apologize, be the first one to say, hey, listen, I messed up, I'm sorry, take lead. Open the door for her. What chivalry, all that good stuff. And then you go to church, and rightly so. Again, we live in a broken society. There's a bunch of douchebags. Sorry, hit your mic. There's a bunch of douchebags. So then we like, yo, man, gents, let's be better. Let's do what, right? Treat your woman like this, etc., 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 etc. Stop. So then it feels like at every point of our existence, quote unquote, again, good guys, we like, okay, we've been taught how to treat our wives, how to treat women. So much that if I stuff up, among guys, we would say, okay, so you screwed up, blah, blah, blah. You know what you need to do, dog, on your way home, pass Woolies, get the flowers, get whatever, right? And that's just a basic example,
okay,
right?
I'm with you.
So then it's like, dope, I know. Then so I'm like, okay, then roles are reversed. My wife is upset at me, or I'm struggling with, so tough day. So if you have a tough day, I'm like, I need to listen. If my wife comes and says she has pressures from the world, she can't, okay, cool. I don't have to be the guy who comes up with solutions, and I'm like, yo, man, listen. I need to listen to you. Maybe you just need a hug. Maybe you need and I think there's a lot of that conversation that's prevalent in spaces, on social media, online, etc., in music and movies, But when the roles are reversed, it feels like, yeah, what do you do with me then when the world is crumbling around me? What do you do with me when you're the one who's stuffed up, right? What do you do with me, right, when I come home and we probably agreed that you're gonna, I don't know, cook, and you haven't cooked, right? And that are just basic examples, but it just feels like you would be quick to say, hey, church, family, society has told me that you need to be a leader. Be a leader. Be whatever, right? And when I read that lady status, I was like, yeah, this is what women have been taught to get from men. So get a man who's a leader, who's gonna stand up, who's gonna do whatever. When he is that, rather, right? And then his heart and his mind and all the other stuff that is not upfront. How do you handle that? How do you treat that? How do you massage that? How do you, take care of it? I'm like, there isn't a lot of people, platforms, institutions that would stand up and say, hey, woman, this is how we need to treat this kind of man, right? Blah, blah, blah. And that then made me go to, yeah, because there's been a bunch of douchebags, I think women have been trained and trained themselves on how to push back against that and fight that. That when they find a quote-unquote good guy, the only tools you have in your arsenal, the only way to fight back is how you've been trained by the douchebags. And so now you like hitting me with douchebag punches, and I'm just like, I'm not cut out for this, dog. I didn't come for this. I came with all the, I want to love you, I want to nurture you, I want to take care of you, I want to protect you, I want to do right. I don't want to do like how absent fathers, absent husbands did. I want to, the reactions or how you've been trained has been with, the douchebag, quote unquote, the douchebag. That all your responses then, it's probably unfair to broaden the thing and say all your responses, but when it comes to treating a man, you've been trained how to react and push back and deal with that kind of dude. And so when I saw that thing, then I started thinking, hey man, where have I heard even women, not even men, just women standing up and saying, ladies, this is how we treat a quote-unquote good guy. It's what you need to do when your husband comes back home. He's been fighting bears, lions, and tigers at work, trying to provide, etc. He comes home and he's tired, discouraged, doesn't want to do life, etc. What do you do with him then? Or,
I can push back on that.
Okay, let me finish. Okay, it's fine. I think I was still setting up the thing, Anish.
No, I was saying where you've seen that. I'm like, I can name places I've seen that. Like in the 40s or something, or the 20s in the States, there were whole articles written on how to treat your husband. Exactly what you're saying. Like when he comes home, you must do this, you must do this. When a woman gets married, all the makoti sit down with her and say, you must do this, you must do this.
Yeah, so I'm saying, so even that, I remember David reading that stuff. I'm like, that kind of advice does not work for where we're at. So I'm like, you're not.
So, but it sounded like you were speaking like historically. I've never seen the conversations where women.
Yeah, so
are you speaking in the now?
I've never seen in our time, and that's again, I'm speaking for our group, our generation. Right? I'm not speaking for generations before us or etc. I'm like, for us, right? I'm like, even the most prominent rhetorics or narratives now. There's the douchebag guy, right? And everyone is like, "Whoa, we hate that douchebag guy. Don't do that," right? Or then there's the Insta baddies, and everyone is like, oh, nobody wants to marry an Insta baddie, blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, okay, cool. Besides the extremes, what do we do for, right? It's quote unquote the normal, right? the rest of us who are average, trying to do life, just trying to be decent people, trying to live well, etc., etc. Right? So that's where this whole thing has come from. And then I think I remember asking a friend, right? So have you seen this, blah, blah, blah? And then he was like, Smack, I actually never thought about this, but now that you've said this, like, I realize, like, I've seen it just in my own marriage, etc., etc., right? And then I was like, hey, maybe let's actually ask a woman, right? Let's not just talk among ourselves. And so then we asked a female, right? If you were in a room and you were asked, how is a husband supposed to treat his wife, right? When she's sad, when she's angry, when she's, demoralized, etc., etc., etc. What would be the typical answers? Just as she gave the typical answers, right? Massage her, buy flowers, listen to her, maybe book a holiday, spa, wada. I was like, okay, flip the roles, right? If I'd ask you, same criteria, man is demoralized, etc., 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 etc. Room full of women, how should they treat the man? And she was like, I don't know. I don't know. And I was like, Jacks, okay. And this all was in the same day of me seeing that status, talking, thinking, etc., and asking. And then I was like, Jacks, like, have we missed the thing? Like, yeah. Anyway, so that's my conscience effort of explaining how I think good men, quote unquote, are abandoned.
Sure, maybe it's an issue of overcorrecting one issue and thus neglecting another.
Yeah.
Because I think, so now I'm going to go historically, and I'm not even going 100 years ago.
Sure.
I'm just going to go to my mom's generation, the generation before her. There was a lot of expectation on what you needed to be as a wife in terms of your nature, your character, how you present yourself. The burden on the husband was to provide, protect. It's more things that are almost tangible. You know what I mean? But the onus on the woman is to be kind, to be, like how they say the mother or the wife of the house dictates the personality of the house
the
or
home,
the home. Yeah, I'm probably saying that wrong, but you get the idea. And so this is just my very cursory analysis of what I think has happened, where it was like, as the woman, this is how you need to be, right?
Sure.
And if you are gentle, if you are meek, if you're kind, if you are serving, if you are all of those things, then your husband will 1, 2, 3 do all these things for you. And then what happens is, over the years, women do that and repeatedly find themselves in situations where they are, and I'm not even talking about a husband who's beating you up, right? Or somebody, but I'm just talking about where there is a level of oppression, a level of what I say goes, a level of just not being able to be respected or be treated as an equal.
Yeah.
And so we watch our mothers and our grandmothers be kind and meek to men who are low-key bullies or doesn't really hear her. She doesn't really have an opinion. And then we grow up saying, so I'm being taught that I must be all these things. And yet it's almost like the idea of, remember when Zaya was having that issue with that girl at school? And then the teacher said, Zaya keeps being nice to her with the hopes that if I'm more nice to her, she'll be more nice to me. And we had to teach her that, babe, some people are just not nice. And you don't have to tolerate that, right? Yeah. And so for me, I'm thinking that, okay, I've seen this and seen it happen. And yet, no matter how nice she is, she's still being treated this way. And when I say she, I'm talking about the wife of the last, let me say the African wife of the last 80 years, right? You know what I mean? What that woman that is encompassed in one. And then comes our generation who are nope, it's a no from me, right? And so we end up assuming that and maybe this, I'm just thinking about this now, maybe as women of my generation, we end up assuming that, I know how to be kind. I know how to be because I've seen that, right? Like, I assume that that's already a play, right? But now I can make demands of what I actually want. And like, yeah, I want the guy who's going to buy flowers. I want the guy who's going to, you know, and then on your guys' end, the overcorrection comes in that you as black are trying to correct the mistakes of the husband, the African husband of the last 80 years. And you're like, fine, I will apologize. I will be the one who's doing this. I will be. And now you have these two worlds where you are overcorrecting, right? What needs to be corrected. But now in some ways.
Okay. Yeah, okay, finish. Sorry, I'm doing what you did to me. Yeah.
No, I can ask the question.
No, so because
maybe I'm not being clear anymore.
No, you are clear. It's just the word overcorrecting, because then I'm like, how do I overcorrect what is supposed to be normal? It's not an overcorrection.
Because in your mind, so maybe this is where I'm coming from. So I have in our marriage found myself doing things and being like, I saw my aunt do this and she ended up like this. I'm not going to do this.
I know.
And yet the thing I'm doing is fine. But in my mind, I'm trying to correct what she did.
Yeah.
Right. Or what she shouldn't have done. And I'm seeing, I'm doing this, which means I'm going to end up, being that way. So it's almost like I'm correcting that. But now in correcting that, I'm becoming like a weird version of a person that I don't even know that I am.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that's what I mean, that you're not even correcting yourself. You're correcting other people's things. Where it's not like, it doesn't become, guys, just apologize when you're wrong, because as a human being, that's what you need to do. But it's, as men, we don't apologize. So now as men, we need to go and apologize. So the motivation is correcting all the times men didn't apologize. And now it becomes I'm always apologizing. I'm always apologizing. She never says sorry. Like I've seen those posts where people talk about how women don't have the ability to apologize. And in my mind, I'm like, I'm hesitating because I'm like, what if I'm wrong? But I want to stick by what I want to say. I've never been afraid to apologize to you.
Yeah.
Like,
no, you've apologized to me, my girl.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So something that I don't relate to. I'm like, but you apologize because you're wrong, right? Like you do because that's just being a human.
Yeah.
But it becomes this thing of like, no, he's wrong because he's always been wrong, so he must still be wrong.
Yeah.
I feel like I lost track of what I was initially saying.
No.
But I just think that maybe perhaps that's now what has happened, where you've got this picture of the bad guy, right? And you are trying to not be that guy. So much so that maybe you even lose the guy you just want to be objectively.
Yeah, that's
and then there's no sorry. And then at some point you're like, wait a minute, I haven't even said what I need. And then as a woman, I'm like, I will not end up with that guy. So I'm going to make sure that I am making my voice heard, this, that you lose the part of you that does make your softness, or whatever the case may be. And considering the next person, as in like, what does he need outside of he needs to apologize to me for that wrong thing he did last week. So I feel like I'm all over, but we're here now.
So what I'm hearing you say is, what I brought to the table, obviously, initially set it up as saying that, and guys, listen, these are very, 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 very broad categories, speaking about the good guy, because we can unpack that and give it its truest definition, but just for the sake of the conversation. So what I'm hearing you say, the
guy who's actually trying,
yes,
and the girl who's actually trying.
So what I'm hearing you say is, we ended up here, right, because we are both overcorrecting.
I think, and maybe not overcorrecting, maybe overcompensating, but I think there is a level of trying to avoid what happened in the past. So we're going to make sure we do the complete opposite of that. And in doing that, we've lost the bits and pieces that still matter. So what I'm saying is like, so a woman, so let me not say me, let's say my name is Mbali. Mbali comes to the fold and she's like, I want a man who's going to buy me flowers, who's going to do this, who's going to do that, which is a lot of the provider stuff, but there's a softer side of it. As in, she wants to be seen. I want to be heard. I want my opinion to matter. And then when she's asked how much you treat that man, she can't answer that question, because I think somewhere she's assumed that I already know how to do that, don't I? I need to be kind. I need to be this. But in practice, has it even been done? Is it even being considered? Or the assumption is, because I am the woman, I do those things, but in actual fact, you don't.
I thought you were disagreeing with me that exists.
No, I'm not. I was trying to figure out how we got there. I'm not disagreeing with you that exists. I think at the beginning of the conversation, I was like, But now I was actually like, no, you might have a point here, because also where women are now, Iyanla put it, Iyanla Van Zandt, who I know
your spirit mother.
But she said something which was like, women have become, what did she say? mean men in skirts, something like that.
Yeah.
And it's not to say that that's the ideal of a man, but the example of man that they've been showed over the decades, which is a broken example they've adopted.
Yeah.
And they're just a version of him, which is like we've lost our kindness, we've lost our, because it's become a defense. It's almost like it's like we've evolved. It's like, you know how creatures evolve to form whatever, and now it's like, oh, now we are like hard and whatever. Because she's saying women are mean, like there's a meanness, but it's almost a response to the hundreds of mothers and grandmothers we've seen mistreated, and I'm not going to become that. You know, and then you've got the guys who are actually trying to not be the dodgy dads and grandfathers who now collide with these women. And what do you get?
This conversation is going like a different direction than I thought it would go, but it's good.
Okay.
Right? Because obviously when we initially sat down and planned and plotted that what we're going to talk about,
right?
You know, it was more, again, me saying, like, I think there is obviously, and again, broad categories that women don't know how to treat, quote unquote, the good guy, and it was me laying down the evidence of that, and then you pushing back against that and saying, hey, listen, there's also things that, like, you know, the like men don't know how to handle, quote unquote, the good woman, etc., right? But I think there's obviously deeper things that have led us to that and to that reality, which is where we at now in the conversation. Like, what are the things, the factors that led to the reality that we're all experiencing now? And the reason why I'm even bringing this up is and I want to be very clear on this again, categorical level. I think men should take responsibility, families and society, etc., right? And set the tone, set the vision, and we can get into that. But once men neglect their responsibility, right, to bring joy in a society, to bring joy in a family.
See, that's such a foreign. Sorry, I know you're making your list, but I just want to put is it caveat? Probably not even that. But even the fact that you say men should bring joy feels, it's like, what? Are men supposed to do that? Like, for me, that's something that women. Not that it's feminine, but the idea of, and I think in one of your 2.5 Husbands episodes, you spoke, I think it's the men's conference, you spoke about that if men would be more happier. And I was like, that wasn't even a concept to me, that men should be happy, and that if they were happier, it would transform society. 100. Anyway, please continue.
And let me, I'm going to get to the list, and let me ask you here this, because I've said this again on 2.5, and if you don't know 2.5, it's a thing that comes out tomorrow. Right? You're watching this on a Tuesday, 2.5 comes
2.5 Husbands.
2.5 Husbands comes out on a Wednesday. At the men's conference, the thing around man being happy came up again, and then I was like, hey, I should actually ask my wife, because I used example of husbands who would organize not killer crazy fancy trip, but just like a family outing, right? If me and David would come to you and Pusky and say, we've organized a family outing, we're gonna go to whatever, Baloo Bird Sanctuary, and we're going to hang out there, kids are going to see birds, we're going to be in the park, have stuff, all you guys need to do is just dress up, show up, right? And we're going to go there, we've planned activities for the kids, etc., right? The assumption is that obviously we would be doing, not the assumption, but we would be doing it with joy, we would be doing this with happiness, we'd be doing it with the aims of wanting to make our wives and our kids happy. And our happiness would then, this is where the assumption is, and then you can obviously correct this. Our happiness would translate, or even be transmitted rather to you guys as wives, because like shucks, man, like we taking care of, things are cool, we're gonna be out, kids will be taken care of, etc., and then your happiness will be transmitted or even translated to the kids. They'll be happy, right? The opposite is what we've always seen. You and Pusky come together and say, let's take out our families, etc. Hey, Black, hey, David, can we go to whatever, Baloo Bird Sanctuary or Bird Park, whatever? And response, I don't want to go to a bird park, bro. I'm going to go hang out at a bird park. Okay. Or, okay, yeah, it's fine. We can go to the bird park. It's fine. Yeah. Okay, cool. So we're going to do all these activities. Black's response, okay, yeah, that's cool, man. That's fine. Right. Your happiness diminished. And then your happiness is not translated to me or transmitted to me, and then my lack of joy, happiness is not transmitted to our kids. And then by the time we get to the bird park,
everybody's frustrated.
Yeah, we cool. So worst scenario would be we're all frustrated. Nobody wants to be here because dads were not happy. Or best outcome, right? Still not the greatest, but the best outcome then is, yeah, we're all fine. But this thing is just, it's okay. Like it's a good 6. It's a good 5. Right?
It's one of those where the kids had fun.
Yes. So then my thing is, if men come with joy and happiness, I think it lifts the whole family up. Therefore, it will lift society up. Compared to, I think when women come with happiness and joy, very rarely will men take on that. Right, and sure, we can talk about why that happens, but very rarely will men take on that joy and happiness, make it their own and own it, and then translate that to the kids, right? And so that's why I think man's happiness or man's joy is very important, and so so I brought, and so I'm asking this to ask you if that is true.
Are you going to remember the rest of your list?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Because I would have forgotten by now. I think in our marriage, it's 100% true. Number one, you know how I feel about family activities.
Yeah,
so,
sure.
But that's just my personality.
Yeah.
And number two, and these are like really like very plain reasons, and probably obvious reasons, to have, your husband just organize something, and you as a wife and mother don't have to think. You can just go in there to have fun. Already just lift several burdens to be like, okay, I've sorted this out, but going here, like, what? That's exciting. But then the main thing is, at least in our home, definitely you do have the power to lift up the general mood of the house. Like if I come in and say,
and is that because of my personality or because I'm a man?
Can I be honest with you? I've never actually thought of why.
Okay.
Maybe also because I don't know, like, I might watch this back and wish I said something different, but I'm just going to go with what's true right now, where I'm like, maybe because as Lily, as a woman, I'm always in a state of dealing with my emotions, dealing with just, I'm engaging with how I feel a lot. And I sort of share with you how I feel a lot. I think that it feels like the burden is on me to make sure we are all happy. You know what I mean? And I think going back to sort of my depression, when I was really struggling, it affected all of us, and maybe it didn't, but that's what it felt like. It might be because I'm just so inward focused, but on a very everyday level, when you walk in the house, and it maybe just so happens that you've been out the house and I'm in the house with Zaya, and you come in and you're singing and you this and you that, it's almost like whatever I'm dealing with in that moment, which might be, obviously the practical stuff. I need to cook things. Zaya's happy. I'm like the whole mood just shifts in a way that is different to when I do it. Like if I say, hey, Black, let's all go for ice cream. And you're like, oh, okay, cool. That's fine. And we go and, and it's like, yeah, we went. But when you're like, we're going for ice cream and Zaya's excitement, and then I'm also just happy because you're happy. I don't know. And I think you have a way of helping me be present, like just be in a moment. Like, it's okay, we're having ice cream and it's awesome. Like when you used to initiate trips to the park, right? Like there's so much fun, and it's the same park we go to every time, and we do the same thing every time we go there. But it's just different, and I've never really thought about it, but I'm like, I even think of like my own upbringing, like when my dad was joyful, the house was joyful.
Yeah. Same here.
You know what I mean?
Same
and
here.
I've actually just, I don't know why it's making me a bit like teary. I don't know, man. There's something about that that's just like, I don't know if men know that the amount of
They don't.
like, I don't know if my dad knew how much influence he had. Like if he was upset, we all felt it.
Yeah.
If it's Christmas Day and he's excited, we all feel it. Is it to say that my mom wasn't dealing with her own real emotions? No. But there's like a power in just lifting up that moment.
Yeah.
That if she's like, hey, I made this, it's just not the same.
Yeah.
It's not, and yet she probably had our hearts more than my dad in terms of like she knew our rhythms.
Yeah.
She knew literally which way our blood flows.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And
Yep.
yet, so I don't actually. But it also, sorry, I think maybe what's also making me emotional is because there's a chat I've been seeing about like men and mental health, and there's this video that I watch where you watch the video and there's two guys, they keep going to a football match and you see like time is passing and one always looks down, the one always looks happy. And by like they're going, it's like match 5, match 6, you can see they're getting older. By the end of it, the one who's happy, the guy just puts a scarf and he would have taken his own life.
Shucks.
And everyone goes, I was watching the wrong guy.
Shucks.
Because you're watching the one who always looks sad and yet the one who always looked, but I'm like, most men are that guy, you know, so I don't know. Yeah. Sorry, I feel like I hijacked that whole section.
No, that's dope. And I think, again, that's why I was saying this conversation is going to places that I didn't think it was going to go, but places that are very necessary and rich. I think the place I was coming from as well. Because now I was thinking about, so I agree with you, when my dad would come home and he would be, you know, joyful, excited, happy, that translates. My mother is more funnier than my dad. My mom is more livelier than my dad. So if they're in a room, they can both work a room. But my mom is just more comical, more dramatic, you know. But there's a deep joy that my dad carries, man. Right? There's a deep joy. I see it even when my grandparents were still alive. Like my grandmother, again, like you said, knew how all our bloods flowed, right? From the kids to the grandkids to the great grandkids. She knew everyone's toes. She knew our fingerprints, right? That's how in depth she would have been involved and in tune with everything. But the minute my grandfather walks into a room and whatever mood he's in, the whole house changes, bro. Right? So my grandfather was never grumpy or whatever the thing is, and he was a very strict man. So if he comes in and he's like, yo, man, it's time to discipline, all of us felt it, right? Yeah. But if he comes in and he's like, yo, man, it's cool, and he's just like, yo, we're having fun or whatever the case is, all of us felt it, bro. Right? So I think there is a sense that men carry, I was saying with David that so you would look after, like, say Isaac gets on a table. Let me just use that example because now my brain was going everywhere. Gets on a table. Your first instinct would be, Jack's like she's gonna break her neck. Right? Be careful. Don't do that stuff. Right? This probably doesn't work well because that's where my instincts go as well. But the dad is supposed to be like, yo, man, jump. Right? Like I could carry you. Tried that a couple of times with Zaya, and you know she's just like, nah, I'm not doing that. Zaya doesn't trust nothing for nobody, right?
Oh wow.
Like you've seen her even yesterday. We were sitting on the couch, right? And I think you were opening the door, and obviously, you know, she always wants to keep the door closed at night. And I was leaning to carry her while you were opening the door, and obviously she freaks out when the door is open, and so you would think I'm going in to carry you. She would automatically be like, yes, I'm scared, the door is open, let me lean into my dad. But her first reaction was, don't touch me.
Just close the door.
Don't touch me, just close the door, right? And she said that, don't hold me, Babu, just close the door, right? Sure. So anyway, this works out differently. But the thing I was saying is that fathers are supposed to obviously take risks, push limits, encourage confidence. There's a different anchoring that they bring. Mothers bring an anchoring, but it's a different kind of anchoring. You know, it's softer, it's more nurturing, it's more loving, it's more we'll sit there and look at the details and see how the stuff is gonna work, as opposed to dads where it's supposed to be big picture, you know, so visionary stuff, where are we going, and then, you know, mothers will so it's like us going on a trip. I'm like, I'll pack that car, bro. Right? Pack the car, blah, blah, blah.
You should go into car packing Olympics.
I should.
Like if there's such a thing as
car packing Olympics.
And listen, there's a sport where people, like, you know, the horses with it, like it's a horse head on a stick.
Yeah.
There's a sport for that.
Wow.
Like I don't know how but there's a sport. It exists. I think in like I want to say Denmark or something.
Oh, nice.
So if there's a sport where people
pack
gather
cars.
and you must
Come
pack
on.
cars,
Come on
and
now.
who packs the car the best?
It's
Black.
me.
You're gonna
It's
make
me.
us a lot of money. That's our
That's
future
me.
right there.
Come on now.
You pack the car really well.
I will pack the car very
Like
well.
I'll look and think the stuff's not gonna fit Black, and Black's like it will,
No,
and it
I'll-
does.
I will fit
Yo,
our whole
it's
lives
spiritual.
in half. Come
Anyway,
on now.
Sorry,
And that's taken
yeah.
care of.
Yeah.
The driver will be taken care of. But then I realized as we're driving, oh, smack, like I didn't pack lunch. But you've thought about that. And you've thought about all the stops. You've thought about what we're going to eat when we get there. What's, right for Zaya. I'm like, yo, man, we're going to travel for 5, 6, 7 hours. Like, how's this kid going? You've thought about how this kid is going to stay alive. And, you've downloaded all the things that she'll watch there. We've packed a little food on the side that she's going to. I'm like, oh, smack. I didn't, like the big car stuff is taken care of. She's safe. She's in the car. But the stuff that's going to keep her alive in the car.
I'm like, she'll need socks and sandals and a blanket and a jacket.
Exactly. What if it rains? What if it hails? What if,
Yes.
what if we'll turn the aircon on for us in front. If she's at the back, what's going to keep, and I'm like,
yeah, I get you.
So I think there's that both like parents bring, so dad, mom bring, or husband, wife bring into the home. And so I think it is important for men to realize that about themselves, so going back to the list, being joyful, right, being happy, right, being excited, and carrying that and embodying that, and not just saying that again. Like earlier on you were saying, like the stuff is just, it sounds like it's traits or characteristics that women are supposed to embody, and I'm like, no, we both embody that, but differently.
Yes,
differently, right? And so I think there is, and I'm going back to then, where I think how we've landed up here, because then I was thinking about us growing up, right? Boys, right? Who are now men. We grew up, obviously, a lot of us, either with fathers who were present physically but absent in all other ways, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, right? And financially, or fathers who were just not there at all in all aspects, right? So there's that. And so a majority of us are raised by women, right? And the thing that I was actually getting to is those women, and I'll say there's probably more categories, but two kinds, at least, that I can speak of now, right? And again, this is very broad. So both women, or both groups of women, have been left by our fathers. And so then there's the one who'll be bitter, right? And then we'll be like, what a stuff, man, never do this, blah, 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 blah. And then that kind of thinking, rhetoric, energy is passed down to their son, right? And then the son, who obviously now needs, the guidance of a male figure, confidence building, risk taking, barriers building. Dad is not there, man is not there. They're not getting that from the mom. The only thing they get is what Iandla said, right? Just a mean man in a skirt. Yeah, mean man in a skirt, right? So that's what he's getting. And so then that could really shape him in ways that he becomes a jerk for you as a girl, right? By the time he gets to high school and he starts dating you, or he's married to you. And so going back to the way I started this conversation, then you obviously have seen the mean man in the skirts as well, whether it's in your aunts, whether it's like other women that you grew up with, and you're like, yo, we're not going to take that. And so now
they're preparing us almost for war.
Yes.
They're not preparing us to, like, when you think, like, a different time where a woman was prepared to get married because now she's going to build her family.
Yes.
You're preparing to go get married and raise your kids and be a wife. It's like you're preparing for war, bro.
The
like,
mean man in the skirts is prepping the girl to be like, yo, don't take any crap from no man, right?
Yes.
The mean man in the skirts is teaching the little boy that, listen, like your emotions don't matter. Nobody cares about how you think or feel. Joy is nothing. Don't come tell me about joy. Look at what your dad did, etc., right? And then he's growing up thinking, let's screw this. And his relationship with his mom now is a bit warped, twisted, it's bent. And then he's thinking, when I grow up, Vele, like all the stuff I can't say to her, I'm going to say to whatever girl I'm going to end up with, right? I'm going to basically spew all that, vomit all of that stuff, whatever girl that I'm going to end up with, right? And so then there's obviously that trauma, then there's verbal abuse, worse physical abuse, etc., etc., right? Financial abuse, emotional abuse. So I'm like, there's that. But then there's the other woman, right, who would probably be like, Yassi, I'm like really stretched to my limit. My husband left me with a son. I don't know what to do with a thing, with a boy, right? But I'm gonna try my best not to be a mean man in a skirt. I'm gonna try and nurture him as a mother, and I'm gonna try and compensate for the parts that I can't be a dad for him, but I'll try, right? And so that's when I think, quote unquote, then the good guy is made, because then I think of myself where I'm like, seeing all the stuff that my mom went through, I'm like, hell no, I'm not gonna like do that to another girl, right? I'm like I see how precious my mom is. I see how loving she is. I see how great she can be, etc., etc. Then I'm like, cool. So I need to try and channel all of that to just be a decent human, right? Then I obviously think of human. Think of examples of my grandfather and etc., and some other dudes I've seen. And I'm like, okay, that's what we're gonna work with, right?
Right.
So then I feel like there's all of that. That's how we actually ended up here. But then who's to say I'm going to get a girl who has a single mother, for example, who's probably said to her, listen, hey, man, you don't have a dad to kind of knock some of the other things that dads would knock out of you. I'll teach you how to be a woman. I'll teach you how to be this, so that when you meet a quote unquote good boy, this is how you behave, etc., right? So I feel like there's just no preparation for those two people, but there's preparations for the mean men in skirts and the war that's,
I guess because they unfortunately, I mean, and I hate to say it, like, you are more likely to run into the opposite of what you actually want.
Yes.
So you prepare more for that guy.
Yes.
And you bolster yourself up for that guy.
Yes.
So then it becomes, I mean, there was that famous list that, I mean, it's American, but that list of where the women are like, oh, these are the places I'm not going on a date. Did you see that list?
No.
But it was like Cheesecake Factory, the movies, bowling. No, but like, for me, there were places there which I think I'm like, okay, that probably equates to like a family restaurant. Yeah, I'm like, no bowling, no theme park. Like, I was like, so where are we going? You know what I mean? And but in my head, I'm
only going to Signature for the first date.
And in my head, I'm thinking, how many good guys want to take you to Cheesecake Factory?
Yeah.
Or, you know what I mean?
McDonald's.
But it's like now, because you're trying to protect yourself from all the guys who messed you up, right? And who were like, yeah, he took me there, then he took my card or whatever. Now you're like, yeah, if he's not taking me to like a 5-star restaurant, then it means that he is, so. So anyway, I was just saying, like, you're preparing for, unfortunately, the higher likelihood of you meeting somebody who's the opposite of what you actually want. I think we, in some ways, collided in that space as well. Where with certain things, where I'm like, okay, I'm not saying you were an angel from day one, right? But like generally, there was like, oh no, this person is like, I'd be like, yeah, if we were still friends and I had a single friend, you have guys who are like, I know this one never. You would be like, yeah, you can date black. Black's cool. Or you have girls, you're like, nah, she's not okay, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, so I came from a situation where I had really bad experiences. And it was almost like all those experiences were almost like my mother and my aunts being like, I told you. You see, you didn't put on your whatever, you didn't carry your sword or whatever. Now look at you. And now we come together and you like, I love you. And I'm like, why? I mean, what is that? What do you want from me? I'm like, let's go, let's war.
And that's the
and
thing
having
I'm
to
saying,
work
like,
through that. But then
there's a lot of training to protect yourself as opposed to training to actually just be.
Because I think the assumption is that I'll know how to be. Because the women in my life have always been being.
Which we don't.
And that's the thing.
They were protecting themselves.
So and that's the wild thing. Because I think for me there were many points where I didn't realize that I didn't know how to do certain things. I just thought I would. You didn't be like, because I'm a woman. I know how to be tender.
Nope.
I know how to be caring.
Nope.
And it's like, no, I know how to run my mouth. That's what I know how to do. I know how to say the most hurtful thing at the most inopportune time. That's what I know how to do. And this is me speaking as Lily, like confessing that it's like, I know how to be angry.
Yeah, and it's in those moments where I've said this several times to you, where I'm like like I just need you to be soft. I don't need you to be hard. I don't need you to
like that thing rocked me, and you said that to me maybe like 4 years ago, and I think it only landed maybe this year. Like because again, I'm saying I thought because I'm a woman, I'm already soft. And this is what I'm trying to tell you with the question you asked at the beginning. I think it's assumed that I know how to treat a man.
Yeah.
It's them who need to learn how to treat me.
Yeah.
I already know. But it's like, no, what you know is to fight, right? Like, and you don't realize that in trying to correct that thing, you've neglected this whole other aspect of who you are. And you're assuming, you know, and that it'll just show up. And then you've got a guy who's like, shucks, I'm tired. This chick is, and she's like, what do you mean?
Yeah, no.
Now you're one of them.
Yeah, exactly. You are one of those. You said you'd be here, but now you're leaving because you're tired. You're tired. And I'm like, this is exactly what I've been trying to tell you. I'm tired of this, bro.
I think that the tough thing is even that. Yeah? Like that little joke we made where there's a couple going through that, where she's hearing all the nonsense men who said they were tired.
Yes.
She's not hearing a guy who's just saying, bro, you're not hearing me.
Yeah.
So she can't even hear that. So she doesn't even know how to just hear that. Like, it's like, and this is what I'm saying when I'm like, I'm sitting there going, my aunt did this. So that, and this is like, you can't just look at things objectively.
When we started this conversation, that's where I thought you were.
Where?
When I was setting this thing up and you were giving me those little, it's not smirks, but those reactions where you're like, okay.
I think because I was like, thinking, I thought you were speaking, that's why I said I thought you were speaking like in the history of time. Women hadn't been, but I think when you narrowed it down, I was like, no, actually, and then I could sort of work whatever, go like in backwards to see, you get what I'm trying to say, go in backwards.
Go in backwards.
Yeah, go in reverse to see how we got here.
Extend back.
But I think that's my lady who's been taught to war.
Yes.
Because in that moment, I was like, what do you mean? Of course you've been taught. Of course but I was actually like, oh, hold up.
Yeah.
Hold up. Let me actually look at my personal experience that I watched my mom be a wife for all of like 5 years before my dad passed. And then all the other women in my life who were married had really not great marriages or they were single. So no one actually taught me like how to what a healthy marriage looks like. I didn't see it by chance. There was no sit down conversation. Because we were surviving. We were surviving. These women were trying to survive these men who were walking in and out and trying to get good jobs and raise their kids. So, but the assumption was because I'm a girl, I'll know how to be a wife and I'm already right.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like I walk into the relationship, I'm already right because historically I've been doing this right and your side have been doing it wrong. So I don't need to be corrected. Sure. And so now you're on social media when men try to say we want this or want that and then...
Were you telling me about the post where the guys were just saying like, or somebody else was telling me that there was a thread where these dudes were just like, listen, like if you think getting your feet pampered is a thing, me too, bro. I just need a back massage, bro. So as much as you want to get flowers on Valentine's, I also want something on Valentine's, bro. I'm not saying get me flowers, but and don't get me socks or a tie.
Yes.
I get me shoes, man. Like give me nice sneakers. I want sneakers for Valentine's.
That's a big thing because I remember even I don't know if I told the story in a different podcast or to you because I don't know, it's all mixing up, but there was a video I saw, I think it was a Nigerian couple. She surprised her husband with lunch at his teaching job.
Yes.
And he was so happy. Because it was just like
and then all the other guys were like, we also want lunch.
And I was like, but here's the thing, I think a lot of us didn't know that. I think there are a lot of women who didn't know that that's what you want.
The pushback will be that we don't talk.
Yeah. And I think that'll be a big thing.
And so I'm saying that even in the...
But we also don't ask.
Yes. I was going to say, even in the... So I was saying, because when we were chatting about this, and then the pushback was, at least I brought that, I'm like, the possible pushback would be that men don't talk. Then I'm like, yeah, sure. But because you haven't been trained on how to, press at my buttons, you don't know what buttons to press.
But have you been trained to talk by anyone?
But guys talk among themselves. That's what I'm saying. And so how do we find a way to press each other's buttons, right? Where I'm like, we could sit for hours and talk, especially now with what's going on with podcasts, long form content, etc., where we just did a men's conference at the university that I just spoke about now, where it's a room full of, these guys are in their 19, 20, 21, 20. Dog, it's a Monday. You guys are writing exams tomorrow. You don't have to be here, bro. Squads of them.
What?
Stuck to the theme. The theme was black tie. I'm like, dude, stick to themes, right? They there, bro. And they just want to talk about being men, right? So I'm like, but in that instance, and not to dog somebody who was there, but there were at least 3 sections, right? And you could see how the room shifted, right? At all the sections. There was one guy who spoke to the group of guys, but again, it seemed like he was speaking at them. By the time we were just like, yo, man, there's certain buttons we can press, especially now doing the podcast on 2.5 Husbands, speaking a lot about being husbands, a lot about being men. And the room shifted. I'm like, and then you could see people just coming up, bro, asking some really profound questions, some really insightful stuff that they've been wrestling with, right? And so I'm not saying it's like your fault that, again, you haven't been trained to press buttons, because if you've been trained to just protect, survive, push back against the douchebag, then there's no time for anyone to say, here are tools. When you actually find a decent guy, he's not going to talk the way you talk, which you've said as well in the house. When you come in and you just like, right? And then you're like, wow, like I've been talking a lot, hey? Like, am I talking a lot? And I'm like, you know what? I'm listening to you, whatever. And then sometimes you be like, yeah, but you're not saying anything, right? And then it's like, shucks, but you don't have tools at that moment to be like, hey, man, let me actually not ask him about his day. Let me ask him about, like, you know, what made him passionate about what he did today, right? Because then
he talks till 3 a.m.
Exactly. Now you can't sleep.
And I'm like, somebody shut this man up. I want to go to bed.
It's what I said to Sunny the other day.
Yeah.
Where I was like, yo, man, some guys just don't even know that, like, they don't have the, like, emotional capacity to deal with whatever they're dealing with, right? So there's that. But I'm like, yeah, that could be true, that they don't have the know-how in that regard. But if we press it in a different way, if there's certain other things that we poke at, it will come out, right? It might not come out the way we've set it up. You need to be emotional, but it will come out if it's pressed, massaged, you know, poked at it in a different way. And that's what I'm saying. So if we think, going back to the points we made earlier on about dads coming in and changing the temperature of the family, the room, the house, the marriage, etc., and dads being responsible for, you know, like the big dreamy stuff, vision stuff, etc. I'm like, that's probably just tools of how you can get him to then speak if it's here, right? Where for you, I'm like, it's always here, right? And you want to be here. You want to, yo, man, so how was your day? But for me, I'm like, if you ask, what did you achieve, maybe? What did you achieve in your day? Then I'm like, Dax, I actually didn't achieve anything. Why? So now I've told you about my day, but you poked at that question and getting at that answer with a different question. And I guess
that's
question,
the effort, though.
Right?
That's the thing, to actually be like, let me learn this person.
Yes.
And see how to get.
Yes.
You know.
And that's what I was saying for us.
Which is effort.
Whether it's social
media.
I'm
a woman, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But you should.
Whether it's social media, songs, movies, church, etc. We've been taught how to treat you guys. But I'm like, again, like, who's now? So rightfully so, to your point, not going back to the 40s, 50s, but now who has taught you, right? Do you even feel the responsibility of teaching Zaya how to? Oh,
it gives me great anxiety.
I was saying, even when Zaya and Achi and Anea are together, we're very quick to tell Achi how to treat the girls. But we never sit the girls down and say, hey, girls, Akhi's gonna be in the room. You guys are not the same. He's a bit rough. So here's how we're gonna treat him.
I had to do that the other day because funny enough that you say that.
Yeah.
It was like a week ago. I found myself feeling like, am I again overcorrecting like boyish behavior?
Yes.
And in that, when you and it's unfortunately that's where my mind goes. It's the whole, when you say, oh, boys will be boys, and then you zoom out to what that actually then
means.
what that has communicated in terms of abuse and sexual assault and all of that stuff. And so in that moment, I'm zoomed into a little moment with my nephew, and I'm like, if I say boys will be boys, then he's gonna, and then I have to be like, don't do that. Then I remember just being like, hold on. Like, he's the oldest. They're like younger. They're girls. They're obviously going to go together. Maybe he's feeling a little isolated.
Yeah.
Then I remember saying to the girls, please include him in your game. Maybe let's play the ball game. Right? But then I went into, am I perpetuating the idea that a woman must adjust for a man?
Yeah. Look. And at that moment, it's easy to say.
So stressed.
It's easier to say he's older. Which is true. It's fact.
No, it just meant that he's old and that he's not going to play with the games that maybe he's
playing.
But
then we can have a one-on-one with him. Just be like, dog, you are older than the girls. Do you want to, play? And he's Achi. He'll be like, yeah, sure, maybe let's play. It's chilled because he's the kid at the end of the day. He also wants to play. But then we need to train both at the same time. So if you play the ball game now, don't kick it too hard. Because you're going to hit the girls, right? They don't have the same strength as you, and plus they're young, etc., etc. Okay, girls, can we play the ball game? Because, Achi's a boy, he wants to play the ball game. When you girls play, don't try and play it like him, right? Now try and let's ruffle stuff. Play it the way you would play it. That's fine, right? And then there's just a beautiful synergy, a harmony there, and how they both going to grow up knowing, hey, I'm aware of the other, and I'm aware of how to treat them in whatever situation that we're in, right? We could be playing the ball game, which would be traditionally just for the boys, but we're playing it together, and in that we're learning how to treat each other and accommodate each other then, right? So that by the time they're older and they're thinking, hey, I want to get married to somebody, they've been thinking this whole time, this is how I treat girls. Hey, this is how I treat a boy, right? Now he's a man. My mom said this is what I should look for, and, pray to God, I none of us die. But then Zai could also say, this is how my dad said a man needs to be treated, etc. And for Achi, similar thing, right? He would say, my mom said, this is how I treat a girl. The same thing, his dad said, this is how I treat a girl as well, right? And then we're not preparing them for war, but we're preparing them for life. We're preparing them for beauty, for marriage, for society that will thrive better than the wars that we find ourselves in now, right?
Because it's just shucks, man. Yeah. It's just the whole thing, and that you focus it's that whole pendulum analogy.
Yep.
That this pendulum swings to one side and then it's too far, and then it very rarely are we actually at the sort of that middle point where now it's like, let's focus on all the wrongs that men have done or continue to do, whatever the case may be, and then in doing that you've neglected another side.
Sure.
And in women, the encouragement to be assertive and to be strong and to take your place in society, which you should do all those things, you've neglected the parts of you that are still good. Like as in if you come off as soft, if you come off as tender, it's almost like other women kind of do look down on you. You know what I mean? Like there's like a weird thing where I remember when people found out that I think that Chimamanda Ngozi was married. Yeah, people were like, she's married, but she's a feminist. She should hate men. And like, no, I have a husband. And she was expressing, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm wrong, I'll make sure to take this out. But she was expressing how she, in the home, she is very much a traditional Nigerian wife. And there's certain traditional things she does, and how that empowers her. And I'm like, but there's almost like this thing that if you're that, you're considered a pick-me. You're considered, and it's like, yeah, but I actually don't want to be at war all the time.
And here's the thing, I'm like, this whole thing of being at war, nah? And this is, I say this with acknowledgement that obviously we're all broken and bent by our history, our upbringing, and our sin in a very, very, very particular and unique way, right? I say that with all of that underneath that and with that understanding. But war tends to attract war, right? So I'm, all women are just not loyal, bro. That's what I tend to attract, because that's what I'll go for, that's what I'll look for, etc., 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 right? And if I'm already training myself to speak like that about women, right, best believe I'm not looking for a good woman. I'm not, right? Because a good woman will hear me speak like that. She'll be repelled by that and say, like, I don't want a guy who would say, these women are not loyal. They'll not.
Unless
right?
she's like, I'm going to change him.
Yeah. Even then, I'm like, that's a level of brokenness that
Sad.
needs to be sadness, bro. That needs to be dealt with, right? So violence will attract violence. Not brokenness will attract brokenness, but violence will attract violence. Drama tends to attract drama, right? Because there's something that you find in that's in you, right? And so that's why I was like, for quote unquote the good guy, if you say, well, I'm not going to be tender, or it's looked down upon, right? That guy is going to wait, bro. He'll wait until he finds that, right? I'm like, he's not going to go and just be like, yo, I'm just going to take whatever I take. He's not going to do that, bro. He'll wait, right? And he'll chill until he finds somebody who will be tender-hearted, who will be, etc., etc. And obviously, whenever, at what age you meet the person at, with the amount of experience and information and revelation they have of life, you'll look for those things, right? And so even with us, I'm like, yeah, there's times where, again, I've said, hey man, I think you need to be a bit softer, etc., etc. But it's not that there was never a point where you're not soft. Because I wouldn't have married that, right?
Yes.
I'm like, there's things about you that I saw. I was like, oh, okay, cool, sure, dope, right? Or even like you, like combative and just rough and I'm gonna defend myself, And I'm like, even in how early on when we were friends, just some of your encouragement over my dreams, what I wanted to do, etc., etc. And I was like, Chelsea, that's like a level of softness that's there, and just propelling me and saying, yo man, like you could do stuff, whatever, right? Yeah, this seems impossible, but I believe in you, you can do it. And there's just that softness and knowing that, yes, this feels like home, man. It feels like I can go out there and fight lions and bears, but I can come back in here and there's a level of safety, of home, of rest. Right? I think yes, that's a big thing. Just coming home and resting, right? And yes, me calling out for softness over the years because I know that it's there in you, right? And I wouldn't have been attracted to you, I think, if it wasn't for that. And I bring the word attraction up because that's another thing that came up in this men's conference, where I spoke about how fathers can be attractive to their sons, right? And then the room started laughing, like, oh, yeah. And then I was like, yeah, you're laughing because I used the word attractive, right, for a man, but that's what attraction is. Attraction goes beyond skin deep, right? Like attraction is I see you for who you are, as opposed to like you have a nice body, whatever the case is. But attraction,
you can be attracted to someone in the sense that you want to be like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Not that you want to be with them.
Yes, exactly. And so I think that's what I mean. That like softness attracts, and again, good guys. Right. There's a softness that's there. That if violence attracts violence, like softness will attract good, or good will attract softness, right? Vice versa. So, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, I think we should land this.
Sure.
I would like to land it at what? Let's keep it like tight. So I'm not gonna make a long list.
No, hundreds.
What do you think men would want women to know about how they want to be treated? Let's maybe give me 2 things.
Yeah. So 2 things. One, don't assume that we don't talk, because we do talk, but find ways that you can, and buttons that you can press for your husband, for your fiance, whoever you're with, that could get them to actually like pour out their hearts, right? Like this whole thing that men are cognitive and women are emotional. I'm like, there's some truth to it at a very, 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 very broad level. But again, like my brain doesn't pump out blood, right? It's my heart. I have a heart. I have a heart that pumps out blood to every. I feel stuff. If another man slaps me across the face, I'm gonna feel all sorts of emotions about that. I have emotions, right? They just function, come out, expressed differently from you. So find ways, and yes, part of finding those ways is me helping you, right? And so I always prize communication in relationships, and I'm like, let's talk. And so maybe ask the questions, bro. And it's probably going to be hard at first.
It's going to be uncomfortable.
It's going to be uncomfortable where you're like, so, husband, how do you express your emotions? And he's going to be like, I don't know.
I know a bunch of women are going, exactly.
Yeah, he'll say that. He'll say, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know, right? But here's a tip. If we speak about emotions, right, we always say this when people are at church and they're like, yeah, no, I'm gonna sing with my hands besides my body. But when there's a rugby match,
suddenly you got
soccer
feelings.
match, suddenly
you're expressive.
I can express. Then it's like, I'm fine. I thought
this
like,
is not my personality.
Yeah, it's not
it?
me. Yeah, no, I'm just reserved until Springboks play. Then you're not reserved. Okay, right? So I'm like,
for the Lord.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So I'm like, there's ways in which. And maybe spaces, not ways, spaces that you will see emotions from your husband. And so maybe ask yourself, how does that emotion come out? Okay, maybe it comes out because there's soccer, there's competition. Okay, so when I ask him about, if he feels happy, just maybe use competition language, right? And obviously in a healthy way. But I'm just giving you practical ways of how to then try and navigate that, right? So again, with the thing of asking me about my day, instead of just saying, how was your day? I don't know, bro. I don't know how my day was. Did you achieve your goals today? Oh, shucks, I didn't. Why? What happened? Here's the thing. And I've told you about my day, but you just phrased the question. You pressed a different button, right? Okay. So I think that's the thing. Don't assume that we don't speak. And then secondly, I think that whole thing of like, and this, everybody has their own love language, but just getting stuff done for men, like, and yes, I know those guys who just laze around, not do anything, etc., but the lunch thing, so the wife who brought the husband lunch at work, the same way you would want to get flowers or whatever the case is. So stop buying us socks. Don't buy us ties for Father's Day.
I have never bought you a sock in your life.
Never in my life, girl. I know you. You know me. So you know I like shopping for clothes. So I'm like, just man, here's 5,000. Go shop, bro.
So it's being thoughtful.
Yes, we want that as well. So for you then, maybe 2 takeaways from this conversation. So I gave you 2 things that I think women should know about men. But for you, as a woman sitting on the couch, me bringing this conversation, what are 2 takeaways from it?
So I hope I say this right. Like, hope I articulate myself well. But I think my takeaway from this conversation is I don't think a lot of women know the difference within themselves when they are being assertive versus being combative. And knowing when to sort of exercise the two. Where sometimes we can be defending ourselves when there is no attack. And you go into crazy defense mode, counter-attack, and nobody's actually coming for you. And maybe with that said, I would ask for patience for those women, because I think I'm that woman. I've been that woman. I am trying, because it's like it's something where you don't realize it. I think I didn't realize it until you had the patience to call it out in me, and not in a way of like, and so in the same way I'm like, it might be uncomfortable when you really want to be like, I'm going to show her now. But it's like, in that conversation, I wasn't trying to fight you. And I think we've had conversations where you've had to say to me, we're not fighting. I'm not fighting, because I didn't realize that I'm actually fighting. It's almost second nature. Like, we're fighting. We're going to fight. So I guess I would say for women to be, to be more aware, but I don't know how you can become aware unless something or someone has made you aware.
Sure.
And so I guess that's where the partner comes in, like for the patients to sort of recognize that. And also to know that I don't think at the heart of it, the women of our generation want to be these fighters.
Yeah.
Want to be these like I think, let me say, let me not speak for everyone. Well, it's impossible. I can't do that even if I tried. But I think, yes, women in relationships do want to be able to pursue their dreams, have their jobs, have a say have an equal say in the relationship, be able to. But there is a level where we do want to just be nurturers and be soft and be like, just be girls, man. I don't know how else to say that.
Yeah.
So that's why when you said that example of if you and David came and said, I've planned an outing, the first thing that made me excited is you planned the thing yourself. I didn't have to think of anything. You know what I mean? It's like I can just, put together cute outfits and sandwiches and do the stuff that I know how to do as a girl.
Yeah.
And I know there are different kinds of girls out there. Don't come for us in the comments. I'm just talking about certain things that translate for a lot of women in relationships with men, where there is a level of, just as you want to come home and rest, I also want to come home and rest.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about cooking or dishes. I don't want to come home and be at war. I want to come home and feel safe enough to be vulnerable and to be soft and to not feel, but there might have to be some work.
Yeah.
And I think if everyone can agree that some work has to be done on both sides, then we can move forward. Because I think the last thing I'll say, it just goes back to that thing where the assumption I think nowadays is that men are wrong. You're coming in already wrong, which is unfortunate because that's not the truth. And the assumption is women are right, and yet there are some real ills that are within us as well.
Yeah.
So let's meet halfway and be willing to have uncomfortable chats. Like this one was uncomfortable at some points, but not in a bad way. Just I felt triggered in some ways. You know, still feel a little bit teary, but yeah. Thanks, man.
I'm sorry for criticizing, Miss Jackson.
Is your conscience talking to you?
I don't feel abandoned. Yeah.
Abandoned.
Yeah.
Thanks for not abandoning me in this
that's
conversation.
good. Yeah. It's good.
All right, guys. We'll see you on the next one.
Peace.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching.